Bryan had always been a thrill-seeker, and his car was his ultimate weapon in pursuit of that rush. He loved the feeling of the wind whipping through his hair as he floored it on the open road, the engine roaring like a beast as he left all the other cars in his dust. But there was one thing Bryan loved more than driving fast, and that was evading the cops. It started when he was just a teenager, speeding down the highway with his friends in the back seat, their laughter and shouts mingling with the sound of the engine. They would take turns flooring it, seeing who could go the fastest, and Bryan was always the winner. He had a sixth sense for spotting the cops, and he knew all the tricks of the trade, how to spot a speed trap from a mile away, how to weave in and out of traffic to lose them in the crowd, how to push his car to its limits without sacrificing control. As he grew older, Bryan's love of driving and evading the cops only grew stronger. He would take his car out on the highway late at night, feeling the adrenaline pump through his veins as he pushed the pedal to the metal. He knew the risks, but he couldn't resist the thrill. And yet, despite his expertise, Bryan had never been caught. The police were always one step behind him, their slow cruisers no match for his sleek, high-performance vehicle. He was like a ghost on the highway, disappearing into the distance before they could even blink an eye. But one night, everything changed. Bryan had just left a party in the wee hours of the morning, his car loaded down with beer cans and loud music. As he hit the open road, he saw the familiar flashing lights of a police cruiser in his rearview mirror, and this time they were gaining on him fast. Bryan's heart raced as he floored it, the engine screaming as he pushed his car to its limits. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't shake them off. They were like a bad dream that just wouldn't go away. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of high-speed chase, Bryan saw the exit for the highway coming up fast. He took it at breakneck speed, his tires squealing as he careened off the ramp and onto the side streets. The police were hot on his tail, their sirens blaring in his ear like a death knell. But Bryan had one last trick up his sleeve. As he navigated through the twists and turns of the residential streets, he suddenly slammed on the brakes, spinning his tires and doing a tight 180-degree turn. The police cruiser behind him swerved wildly, almost losing control as it struggled to follow his erratic maneuvers. With a triumphant grin on his face, Bryan took off once again, leaving the stunned cops in his dust. He had outsmarted them once again, and he knew that they would never catch him, not as long as he had his trusty car and his quick reflexes to rely on. As he pulled over to the side of the road, panting and grinning from ear to ear, Bryan knew that he had just experienced the ultimate rush. He had pushed his car to its limits, and he had outsmarted the cops once again. It was a thrill that he would never forget, and one that he would be chasing for the rest of his life. But, as he sat there, catching his breath and admiring his handiwork, Bryan couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The police had been more persistent than usual, and they had seemed to know his every move before he made it. It was as if they had a secret weapon, a way to anticipate his every move and stay one step ahead of him. Bryan's grin faltered as he realized the truth. The police had been playing him all along. They had been toying with him, letting him think he was in control while they watched him from the shadows. And now they were closing in on him, ready to pounce and put an end to his reckless antics once and for all. With a sinking feeling in his stomach, Bryan knew that he had finally met his match. The police had outsmarted him, and they would stop at nothing to bring him to justice. He was in for the ride of his life, and it was one that he would never escape. As he felt the cold steel of the handcuffs close around his wrists, Bryan knew that his life would never be the same again. He had pushed his luck too far, and now he was paying the price. But even as he sat in the back of the police car, his heart still racing from the thrill of the chase, Bryan couldn't help but smile. He had lived his life to the fullest, and he had no regrets. He was a thrill-seeker to the end, and he would always be chasing that rush, no matter the cost. Thrill-seeker, someone who enjoys taking risks, evading, escaping or avoiding, lurking, waiting secretly. Surge, a sudden powerful forward or upward movement. Cat and mouse chase, a situation in which one person tries to catch another person who is trying to escape. High stakes, involving serious risks if there is no success. Careened, moved swiftly in an uncontrolled way. Erratic, not even irregular in pattern or movement. What is Bryan's favorite thing to do? Bryan's favorite thing to do is drive fast and evade the police. How does Bryan feel when he is driving fast? Bryan feels a rush of adrenaline when he is driving fast, and he loves the feeling of the wind in his hair. What is the one thing that Bryan loves more than driving fast? The one thing that Bryan loves more than driving fast is evading the police. How does Bryan outsmart the police? Bryan outsmarts the police by taking sharp turns and making sudden stops, making it difficult for them to follow him. What is the ultimate thrill for Bryan? The ultimate thrill for Bryan is pushing his car to its limits and outsmarting the police.